And we're back, everybody. It's Monday. It's 5:30. It's time for the Hybrid Live Show. Anthony is back. Dave is back. Amber Tate is back for the second week in a row. We've got half Canadian, half American host panel today. I'm extremely excited to be back, and I'm super happy. We're not going to talk about obstacle racing. What should we talk about first? Oh, no, before we go with what I want to talk about first, Dave, the surprise I had for you last week is ready.
Oh.
So are you ready for your surprise?
Well, yeah. I've been waiting a long time.
God, I took so much work. It's so not even going to be worth it, but we're going to do it anyway. Hang on. We are now live officially. We had a problem earlier, which was super frustrating. Let me find the special. Oh, hang on. I'm going to. Oh, here we go. This is how we'll do it. If I do that.
All right, Anthony, what are the odds that this works?
I'm really hoping so. I'm really hoping so. Share audio tab. Are you ready, guys? Listen up. Okay. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Mud Brothers podcast.
Oh, wow.
We've had some technical difficulties, and mostly I have no technical knowledge, so I've been screwing up the podcast. But we're back now, and we have with us back today Rico Moore. How you doing, Rico?
Hey, great. Great to hear from you again.
And it's a fortuitous time because we have with us as well.
Word.
And Tom was over in the UK doing OCR.
Dave, what did we just listen to, Dave?
That was like the second podcast I ever did, like the second episode. That was with my buddy Rico Moore from the OCR tribe, who was great. He asked me to do a podcast with him. And he was really good, but he did spend a lot of time doing dishes.
So it was super loud?
Yeah.
Do you know what year that was, Dave?
Oh, 2018?
Well, you're probably asking why I posted that. And sometimes you just wind up scrolling for a really long time. And I think I just scrolled all the way back to the beginning of your podcast feed. And it was like, it was OCR Unedited. And then before OCR Unedited, it was called the Mud Brothers Podcast. I was like, oh, what the heck is this? And there we go. I'm so excited to find it.
I don't know. It was like one of those other podcasts. I think we did like 5 episodes or 6 episodes. It wasn't very many. But it was fun. Rico's a good dude. He's still running.
All right. Well, it was a big DEKA weekend. And that's one of the reasons Amber is on. Other than we just like her. We like her takes. We like her attitude. We like Canadians that say oot and a boot. So I guess, first of all, Amber, you're in your house. Last time you were in the gym, right?
Yeah, I tried to, step it up this time so my phone wouldn't overheat unexpectedly.
Why do you almost always agree with Dave?
Because I'm right a lot.
I guess that makes me right a lot too, so we'll take that.
Is that a giant rabbit cage next to you right there? Do you have very large rabbits?
No, I have very large dogs, and one of which likes to pick fights with the others. So when she does that, she has to go sit in there just to keep her under control. I have 2 Rotties and a Shepherd, so requires a very large crate.
And how many children do you have?
2 if you count my husband.
Wow.
Sorry, Zach, I love you.
Zach catching strays. Well, listen. I think
sometimes
a lot of women
I wonder who's harder, him or the kid.
I think a lot of women would say that, especially if you only have one. If you have multiple kids, then you don't lump the husband in there. But if you have just the one, I think Lauren might say the same. So, Anthony, did you keep up with the DEKA shenanigans this past weekend? I know you're a big stickler for form as well.
A little bit, but I just, I don't know. I feel bad for Katie Duke. Like, I felt like she got kind of attacked twice in a row. And I did watch the burpees, and I didn't really see a bunch of no reps there, though, from her. And Yancey was her judge. So I don't know, like, how you can go back and look at the video unless you're video reviewing everybody.
Well, we're going to get to that part, certainly.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about the internet attacked a poor child, for Christ's sake. Dave posted this little girl like just smashing it. What about that form? So that's the internet for you.
That was Bethany's kid, right?
Yeah.
So
but like,
so let me just bring everybody up to speed really quickly. So we've been down this road before, called, if you are going to video some people, how can you not video other people? But just to kind of bring people up to speed in general, a race happened and then results were changed based on quote unquote video evidence. Now, the I didn't see it at first either. Okay. In the video I have, and there might be other videos, she's in the background. Okay. Katie Duke is in the background, not the foreground. And at first it's very hard, but if you look closer, it looks like her elbows are like this instead of like this. Am I saying it correctly, Amber?
Yeah.
But you do have to look for it, and it's definitely not every single rep. But I think, as some people have pointed out, if Yancey had just said straighten those arms out a bit, it might have fixed them. You know what I mean? So because it wasn't a massive adjustment. But I guess, Amber, why don't we start with you, because you were commentating live, and why don't you just kind of start with your kind of how it went down for you?
I mean, the angle I saw it on was, for somebody who's very active in DEKA and primarily focuses on DEKA, it was pretty obvious that it was not full extension. So at one point in the commentating that I was doing, I did say, though, however, from a different point of view, like, I don't know what her judge is seeing. From the angle I was on, it was pretty obvious that it was here. Now, last year, that would have been allowed. Last year, the rule was just show clearance of the head, could have been an inch, could have been 5. But now the updated movement standards are requiring full extension. Like, that is pretty obvious. You have to work hard to get that ram fully extended overhead. So I think there's a lot of moving parts here. I think, Yancey didn't call her on it. Was he correcting? I couldn't hear what he was saying. So I don't know what was happening there. However, at some point too, like, elite contenders, if you're going in the elite field, you need to be well familiarized with the movement standards as well. So I think there's ownership on both sides, in my opinion. Like, I know when I'm extending or not as well, right? And so yeah, that's what I saw.
Well, to quickly cut you off, I allowed for race brain. I allow for exhaustion and form to drop, but that's where the judge needs to come in and force you to do that extra work. So, yeah. I mean, I'm glad to know that you try to be as honorable as possible, but I give people a little bit of grace for that.
Now, if he would have just started no repping her, I think it would have cleared it up. So instead of this whole, like, I know they don't believe in no repping and they want to coach people through it, but at this point, you've taken your sport to a competitive level. Like, you need to start implementing the rules as written in the rule book. And I think if he would have started no repping her, I think it would have cleaned it up in the moment. And I think potentially maybe we wouldn't even have to be having this conversation. I think she would have figured it out. So yeah, I don't know. I think that needs to be a thing in DEKA, no reps.
Can you just repeat what you just said? We don't want to no rep people? Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard them say this, like, we don't want to no rep. We want to coach them through it. It's not CrossFit. There's all these comments flying, but you need to no rep in the elite division. I think if they just started no repping her and stopped counting those reps, she did 20 reps and got all of them counted and she crossed the finish line. So
I see that as what we would call a fundamental flaw. Dave, what do you say?
So, yeah, I agree with him. I talked to Yancey today. He and I had a phone call. We had a chat. And I talked about
just first of all, I want to say that he loves you more than me. He talked to Amber. He talked to you. I messaged him 2 days ago. When can we talk? He said later in the week. So clearly you guys get priority.
Yeah, well, I was going to be nice to him, right? So
because we're Canadian, we're nice.
Anyway, so no, because I wanted to get an idea of his mindset. I think when I first saw it, and I agree with Amber, the reps were obvious to me as well. Like, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, yeah, that's not full extension. When I talked to him, I wanted to get his mindset during the process, because knowing Yancey, and we all know the kind of character he has and what he's like and his thing, I think that he, like he said, he's always encouraging this. He wants people to do. He doesn't want it to be CrossFit. He doesn't want the no reps. But I don't know how to not get into the whole thing. So I'm just going to roll. So when I talked to him, when I spoke with him, and I said to him, I said, I wanted to talk to you because I want to know your mindset, because I will be honest, I don't agree with your decision. And I wanted to find out why you made the decision you did. And much like I thought, when he went out there and he saw the first couple of reps from Katie Duke were not great, and he went out there to encourage her to raise it up, and then she'd raise a couple and she'd go back down, and she'd raise a couple to go back down. And then by the time it was done, and he realized that 20 reps had gone, he hadn't no-repped her, and she ended up winning. And he felt like he had made this massive mistake, like he had completely fucked up. And in the process, kind of screwed over Katie Ambrosia. Is that her last name? Ambrosia. And did a disservice to Katie Duke by not no-repping her, so she didn't know to go higher. And like, because if he said the same thing, if he had just no-repped her in the beginning, she probably would have straightened it out, and she maybe would have had to do one extra rep. Now, realistically, that probably would have put her into second place anyway, but that's where he was at. And he just felt so bad that he's like, I screwed this up. I need to fix it. So he went and he did the review, and he went and penalized Katie 20 seconds so that it would end up so that she would, he figured that would have been about the right amount of time for the extra reps she would have had to do and go on. And then this is where we had a fundamental differences. I believe that was a mistake. I don't believe you should do that. I don't believe you can go back, much like Anthony said, and video review the quality of reps unless you can have a camera on everybody, which obviously you cannot. So,
Dave.
Yeah.
Dave. I'm sorry. I'm very upset. I'm very sorry, and I'm extremely upset. Okay. What are you talking about?
What do you mean?
Running a fucking elite race.
Oh, that. Okay. I thought you meant, what am I talking about?
What are you talking about? We don't want to no rep you because we're not CrossFit. Yeah. For the other 500 people trying to get through it. You're running an elite race. You have rules, but we don't really want to enforce them because we're not CrossFit. I'm sorry, Yancey. And I love Yancey.
We all do.
And to say, I guess I made a mistake. Yancey, this is not DEKA race number 1. And this is not DEKA race number 1 that we've had a huge controversy around elites. You see elites not doing it, run over there and go, no rep. Maybe 2 times, go, get it up. Okay, no rep. Come on, man.
This is where I told Yancey. This is where I told Yancey that there needs to be a head official, and it needs to not be him.
Yes.
Actually,
yes. Why is he there in the fucking first place?
Yeah, and I do think part of it was, I think it was pretty obvious from the outside looking in from different angles for those who are like very familiar with movement standards. But I think part of the problem was I don't think anybody really wanted to overrule Yancey's decision in that moment. But he did take full ownership for it. And I did say to him, I respect him for saying, like, hey, this is entirely on me. He's taking full responsibility for it, which is good on him. But I mean, moving forward, I mean, there's a rule for a reason.
Moving forward. So kind of like a month ago when we said moving forward, here's a new rule book and penalties, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Spartan all over again. I'm sorry, but that's the precedent he's setting. He's setting the precedent of we're Spartan all over again. We'll arbitrarily enforce rules, and then we'll arbitrarily enforce them through video afterwards. That's the path we've gone down, guys.
And this is why my advice to Yancey on this one is, and I told him, I said, in this particular scenario, what I believe he should have done was say, yes, I made the mistake. Yes, it's on me. But the way to own that mistake is to say, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to overturn it.
Correct.
I can't do video replay. And in the future, I'm going to remove myself from that position, and we're going to have a head official. Even without
the last part, which we all want, a head official that's not Yancey. Just you're right, I should have, and I didn't, and the rules stand. That's what Rich always says, right? Yeah. Like refs miss calls, even with replay, and we just know it, and we move forward. And by the way, I've tried to talk to Katie Duke as well. Obviously, I'm a big fan of her and Grayson. I met them last year and love those guys. So I want to get her on here to defend herself, quote unquote. But yeah, get me fired up, guys.
We talked about this like a couple months ago after the SoCal race, where they had come out and said, like, they told the judges, we don't want a no rep. We don't want to show a big no rep. Like, you need that one, for the audience watching, and you need it for the elite athletes because one, it helps your product. It looks like, so they actually visually do it right. And number two, it helps the athletes because the athletes are trying to go as fast as they can. If they're like, well, this rep is as good as this rep, and they're not telling me it's not, I'm going to keep going here until like ride the line and what I can get through. Like, yes, they should be going full extension, but they're in a race of, at that point, seconds, half seconds, milliseconds, right? And they're like, well, I think I'm all the way up, and they like do that quick jerk that maybe it doesn't go all the way up. They need to have the visual no rep. They need to give them no reps. Like, it doesn't matter if you look like CrossFit. Every competition, every fitness out there that's in a race gives no reps.
I mean, that's like in flag football. It's like, well, it was pass interference, but we don't want to be like the NFL out here. They're just trying their best. I mean, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like he's coaching 6-year-olds.
But like video review, even if you talk about it, there are things in football that are video reviewable and things that are not. Right. So like and if I'm at an NFL game filming and be like, look, that was pass interference, the ref missed it, I can't submit my iPhone video to the ref to be like, oh yeah, it definitely was. Like, if they didn't see it, they didn't catch it. But it's on the officials out there to make the call.
And Amber, do we even know if he used your feed that you and Shan were doing, or if he used somebody else's? Like,
I don't know what video was shown to him. I would imagine maybe because Shan was the one on there as like the media coverage of the day, so he was kind of, I guess, essentially the one there, essentially representing DEKA that day. I don't know. I would imagine that's the feed they went to. It was pretty obvious from that angle, so like, I don't know. But I will say, fun fact. Speaking of no reps, at World Championships, one of my members who's 55 got no rep on burpees. So like, we need consistency here across the board. She's an age grouper. She's not even an elite, right? So like, I think a tone needs to be set moving forward. What is the standard? At what point, like, are we calling no reps? And if you're going to register for a leader age group, you're putting yourself vulnerable to be held accountable to those standards. And if you don't want to be, then there's an open category and go have fun there. And I don't know, like, I think a shift needs to be made.
And in the process of training the referees, the volunteer judges, paid judges, whoever it is, the judges need to be empowered to know that they can do this, and that if they do no rep, that the head judge or the official or whoever else is in charge is going to have their back. Because right now, I don't feel the judges feel empowered to do so. And
well, but if the guy at the top is saying we're actually not trying to run rep people, I mean, if I'm leading the charge, right? If I'm him and I'm teaching volunteers, I would say when you get to the guys in the middle of the day, yeah, like coach them up, see if you can get them through it. And if not, this is what we've talked about, the same thing with HYROX wall balls, right? At some point, you just kind of roll through it, right? Like you try to help them and then you just get through it. But for these people at the top, if that's the standard he's setting for everybody, the other reason that I think that I was worried about seeing Yancey out there is there should be 2 levels between Yancey. Should be volunteer, head official, then Yancey, right?
Yes.
Is that there wasn't enough volunteers, and that's why he was even over there.
I think it was different. No, it's in that case, there was judges for the people, but Yancey will often go out, and if he sees something where a judge has not called or instructed, encourage the person to go higher with the rep, he'll run over and try to help. So there was a judge there for it. He goes out
right,
there.
But that's where the head official comes in that should be doing that.
Agreed.
Is that where like the training of the judges and the empowerment of the judges though comes in? Is that if they felt empowered to make a no rep and make a call like that then nobody would have to?
Yes, I would think so.
Yeah.
Matt K says, I like this. Matt K says, agreed with Anthony on reviewable versus not reviewable. If you clearly skip laps, stations, then sure, go back and change it. But the stations to be under the judge's discretion in the moment.
Yep, agreed. The only thing I would like to say about the reviewable, non-reviewable is the one thing I would want to review and be open to review no matter what is anything that is a safety thing can be reviewed no matter what. And I will go back, and if you want to go, if we beat the other horse to death, we can move on to that other one if you want.
The dropping the weights?
Yeah, the dropping the weights.
Well, I think one more thing though before we move on, and I think I think judges do need to be empowered to no rep, because by not no repping them, it's also like they're doing a disservice to the rest of the women in that field who are doing the reps to standard, right? So for one judge should not be no repping somebody per se. And I'm not just trying to throw Katie under the bus. We're just talking like in general, like whether it was her or another race, like by not no repping that person, it's kind of a disservice to the rest of the field who are doing things full extension to movement standards, right? And being held accountable by somebody else. So I think just, really cleaning things up is going to go a long way in this sport.
Matt, did you say you're going to get Katie on here right now?
No, not on here, but I've been trying to talk to her.
Oh,
because I do feel for Katie, because she's like,
I just, yeah, like protect the mental health of the athletes too. It's tough when she gets dragged twice in a row in an hour. And so like, it wasn't her fault. She probably thought she was doing them right. You don't know like the feeling of that. So she definitely, I don't think, I do say a lot, put it on the athlete to do the right standards, but if they're not getting told in a movement, especially like that, they need to be told, you're not extending all the way, or you're not extending to me as your judge. But if I was right there and it was me doing it, and who I think's the head official standing right there in front of me and nobody's saying anything, I'm going to do it that way because I'm like, okay, that's acceptable.
Yeah.
Like, we know that. And I got to say, Anthony, I appreciate you defending her, and it's unfortunate, but this comes up when we've dealt with this in OCR for years and here, and it's like, we want to be a serious sport. We want to be taken seriously. Guess what? That means not everything's always positive. So we're going to highlight what people do well. If you do something wrong, we're going to say you did something wrong. It's unfortunate, but like, that's the way it is. You can't always be like, we love everybody. Every athlete never makes a mistake. Everybody's equal. That's the truth, dude.
It's just, she's still
a
person. It's a small community, and we all have to know.
Nobody said anything that bad. Nobody was like, she's a horrible person. I mean, I've seen so much worse. I've seen so much worse attacks on athletes. I mean, this bullshit going on in OCR this weekend is insane. I think most people have just been like, hey, that's a no rep. So let's move on to the other part.
I think at the end of the day, all of us are just craving that structure, and we're like, this scenario is just really bringing it to light to say, hey, DEKA, let's crack the whip. It's nothing on Katie at all. It's just saying, like, now's the pivotal moment to set the tone, and let's do things a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I think it all kind of stems from the earlier statements of like, we want the Royal Rumble and the running and the not like reinstating somebody that
I never said that.
Reinstating somebody that was DQ'd for a safety reason. Like, I actually think the safety reasons need to be more strict.
Mm-hmm.
We need the iron fist of an official tyrant.
Well, and guys, I think part of the reason I'm so frustrated is that I thought that our come to Jesus Buddha flying spaghetti monster was last time, and they fixed the rule book. I thought this is Yancey going down the road that we're not Spartan. I really did.
And so it should have been. He just got, because it was him that made the mistake. And this is what I said. I tried to impart. I think that if he didn't go out there and the judge just didn't call those good reps and didn't call them no reps, he would not have changed a thing. But because he went out there and was right there and didn't call it, he felt so responsible that he's like, I got to write this because the wrong person won. And that's where he was wrong. He should have just left it.
Right. And again, another reason to have somebody else that's not you, because if somebody else that's not you is feeling that way, you as the event director, god of all DEKA, whatever, can actually say, let's meet about this and let's come up with a solution. So yeah, I think we beat this to death. And I honestly, is there anything you really want to say about the dropping the weights? Because there really isn't anything to say about it other than
you want to go first? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the whole safety thing of like, people when they throw the med ball against the thing and it goes rolling off, like, those are 20 pounds. They could hit somebody in the head. You don't know, like the rams being dropped. There needs to be stricter on the safety things. I actually think throwing the weights or sliding the weights is another piece of the safety where be strict on it. There needs to be a black and white. Like, if you don't do it this way, or you don't put it in, it doesn't fall into this box, you are DQ'd. Make it strict and people will pay attention.
Mhm.
So it is in the rule book that if you do not place the dumbbells back, it's a 30-second penalty, which you can argue light, heavy, wrong, DQ, whatever. But it is in the rule book that it needs to be placed properly, and it was not. So when I was confused in the beginning, when I saw that Katie got docked or penalized, I thought it was for the dumbbell thing. And then when I looked, I'm like, why is it 20 seconds? The rule book says 30 seconds. And that's where I was all confused. And then I found out about the reps and I was like, oh my God. But that is something that I am okay with video reviewing of, is if someone sees a safety infraction like that, that's okay. I don't care because if you have any kind of video of that, I think it should be called and it should be penalized. There's no reason those weights can't go back safely. It was actually ended up being Bethany that almost got, she ended up picked because they were right in the middle of the runway. So she's like, all right, I'll pick these up and take these so that Janelle coming behind me doesn't trip over them and use those.
Hey,
so
if you want, like, I mean, I listened to like the first part of your guys' thing last week, and in Australia, when you talk about the judge when you're talking with Tengai, he put his kettlebells at the edge of the box and one of them fell over and the handle was out. Lauren Griffith did the same thing. She had already ran away about 10 meters and they called her back. And she had to go back and set her own kettlebells up before she could continue running from that one. And so, like, even that, though, if they would have just said, hey, no, that's not right, you have to come back and put them in the box, like, that at least should have been done.
Yeah, and I have to say, because I posted, I couldn't find it, and that's because I'm an idiot. I was looking at the rule where it says each zone, how you do it correctly, how you do it incorrectly, and I read it like 5 times. And then I made sure it was 2024, not 2022. And then as soon as I posted that, someone was like, you just scroll down, it's at the bottom. And I was like, oh, shit. So, yes, it says zone 6, 30-second penalty if you don't place them in the square. Now, again, even though she wasn't penalized, that is a mistake you probably only make once. So now that she's been told, I'm pretty sure Katie's not going to do that again. And hopefully all paying attention will know, like, take the extra 5 seconds or not 5 seconds, half a second to place them down correctly. So yes, it is in the rule book very clearly. At the bottom under DEKA rules, there's running penalties, out of order penalties, and safety. One is dropping the ram after final lunge. One is dropping the not returning dumbbells, and one is not returning ram after a final burpee. And apparently
that will work on that ball for the sit-ups.
That's another one that that's
we'll work on that.
WWE that he said that makes no sense. But I've still heard that those aren't really being enforced that well. The zone 1 especially is like people are just kind of doing their thing and taking off.
The zone 1's, it's hard. I haven't seen, like, I've seen a couple where they dropped and they got pulled back. Amber, you've been on the last few. I haven't seen it been horrible on the lunges. It's so much better than it was.
It's a lot better. I mean, you're still seeing it, but like people are getting it to like a foot above the ground and kind of letting it go instead of placing it. They're still trying to shave, like Anthony said, that 1 second, that half second everywhere they can, right? But I mean, just put it down. I don't know. It's still not happening, but it's better, right?
Even if you don't make them put it
standing up too, like just set it down flat.
Just set it flat. Yeah, it can be flat. It can be upright. I personally just go overhead and basically slam it down with my hand, and then I walk away. But it's flat. It's in control.
There's rules in like powerlifting and strongman where you have to control the deadlift bar back to the ground. Why can't we control the ram back to the ground, right? Like the ram has to touch the ground before your hands leave it. If it bounces or it doesn't, then you're called back or you get a penalty automatically. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in Spain they do little boxes for them, even for zone 1.
Mm-hmm.
Little tape boxes, the same way that he tapes off the rams.
I still think like they have those little holes in the side. Why can't we do like a little toilet paper holder and they have to just slide it back on?
Well, they don't all go all the way through.
Well, just make it a little one then. It's just a bump.
I'm with Amber. I'm like, just set it flat down on the ground. Flat down on the ground. It's fine. It won't.
Especially on that last burpee, like just up, hammer it down, and away you go. As long as it's not going to roll away or bounce, like it's safe, right?
Anyway, I don't mind video review for that. I'm all for that.
It could be the other type of toilet paper holder, Dave, the one that has the 2 sides that just
there you go.
And that's where you got to keep it.
Anthony, we need a qualified engineer to build this and construct this machine.
Amber,
I know the guy at Planet Ram. I can get you in touch with him.
Amber, would you like to talk about your race?
My race? I didn't race this weekend.
You didn't race this weekend?
No, I stayed home. We're renovating our gym, and I just had too much to do. So I ended up just commentating from home. I had massive amount of FOMO though. If that
Why
counts
did I
for
think you
anything.
commented? Why did I think you commented singles, but you did teams? I don't know why I'm thinking that. Who am I confusing you with? Did somebody else that looked like you race this weekend?
I usually do teams. Maybe that's why it was very unusual for me to not be there doing teams.
Who's dinging is that? Who's got a submarine that's nearby?
That's me. I'll turn it off.
Thank you. So what else I guess should we talk about the weekend, either individual races or teams? Would you guys like to talk about?
Why don't we cover the men?
There were men there?
There were dudes? Hang on, my mail lady just pulled up. Maybe there's something special coming for me today. Did you guys send me anything?
No.
So Grayson Kilgore almost became the next man to go under 30. hit
Oh,
30
just
men.
missed it.
He was like 30 dead, wasn't he?
Mhm.
Yeah, 30 flat.
Yeah. Like
That's
literally 30 flat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great for him. Magida comes back. Look at that. Hits a race. That's going to be a time that qualifies him for Worlds.
Yeah. He still said that he's not in shape right now and he's got a lot more in him. I had a little chat with him.
Now, fun fact, actually, since we're talking about like race times, because I was commenting, I had pulled up like a lot of the men's and females times from last year versus what they put up this year. Noticeably, I'd say like 8 of the 10 girls and guys were like over a minute slower this year than last year. And I'm like, okay, is this coincidence? Is this time of season? I mean, the whole like extension now in the Ramberg does not add a full minute.
No.
So where do you
Didn't
think
they-
this minute's coming from?
Didn't they make 2 changes? I thought they made 2 changes, and there was the burpees and
And the lunges.
maybe the lunges. I thought like also don't you have to sit up further on the
No.
No, you don't.
No. So it's
Justin-
interesting. I was like, is the course slightly longer this year? I don't know.
I'm gonna get out there with my wheel. Just wheel them all.
Well, it was just weird, like all of them, you know, or not all of them, but majority of them. I was like, well, this is kind of interesting and around a minute slower. So I was like, this is. I don't have them in front of me anymore. I wish I saved them.
Can we quickly point out that Jack Driscoll ran the DEKA and then went and did the 8-hour overnight toughest?
Oh Jesus.
Are you guys going to put him on the hybrid list yet? Come on, man. Look at that.
He came 10th.
I don't know. He's
In a local
running a
call.
marathon nearby us next weekend, so
I know, but
we'll see how well he does there.
Same day. Pretty impressive. Come on.
I don't know. Still not winning.
So are the men? Were you saying the men are slower by a minute or just the women?
Men and women.
Yeah, but look at the final qualifying time in terms of Worlds. Final qualifying time for men and women this year. So right now it's Thomas Turdvik at 31:56.
Now, is that 15 or is that 20?
That's at 15.
Okay, so because last year would have been 20, right? So
Yeah, last year would have been 20. So here, I'll go pull up last year's.
it's not as easy to pull up now. It's all screwy with the web page the
know.
way it is.
Is it?
Yeah,
Let's see.
it got Spartaned up. Yeah. But I am looking here with things that I thought were really impressive too. Mark Polzin.
Mhm.
He's looking so good this year. After he came off the Ultra and looked so good there, and now he put in a sub 31. I'm always just a big fan of watching him compete. He's good.
So
You got Max Fennell in there.
here you go. The 20th place last year was Grady Jackson, 31:30. 15th place this year is Thomas Turdvik at 31:56. So
Did
you're
they
looking at,
update the 24 leaderboard yet?
yeah, it's on here.
Okay.
No, it's not updated.
We won't have that one in.
Yeah, Grayson Kilgore still has a 31:12, and I don't see Magida.
No,
Yeah,
they won't
Nick
have that
Riker
one.
still has the third fastest time. Come on, guys. Get on your leaderboard. I know there were a bunch of strongs and stuff this weekend, so it's probably taking them a minute, but they should do
My
DEKA FIT
wife.
first.
Qualifies in the men's division apparently.
She's on there.
Yeah. Oh wait, what is it? It's the 15. Oh, she's in 16th right now overall.
Right,
Gotta
Dustin
step up
said
the game.
Dustin said that he ran past the farmers, so I guess he lost a few seconds. He must be Grayson did.
Yeah.
That would have been his 29 sub 30.
Yeah.
How many men? There's been like 5 men that have gone sub 30,
There's
right?
been a big improvement in Grayson from last year to this year. So you might say some people are a minute slower, but Grayson is not. Grayson has turned it up.
So
Yeah.
last year Grayson qualified with what? let's see. I don't see him on here.
Like I remember last year thinking Grayson was a guy who could do some damage in the strong, but that was it. But he's really dialed it in. And him and Katie make a vicious team out there as well.
Oh yeah, she's fast. Their DEKA mile time is like, whoa.
Yeah.
Their
Unreal.
team time. I mean, their fit time this weekend was very impressive. Too.
He doesn't have a fit time. He was 4th in mile, 8th in strong going into Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's just interesting because I was pulling up like their times in comparison to see like where I thought people would, kind of land, and it was just so interesting to see their qual times versus the qual times this year. So that was a fun little fact.
Yeah, Grayson didn't even do the Fit Championship last year.
No. But he will.
So if you add in those times that just came in, it looks like
I have it on my on HFM. I posted the updated.
so 31:41 is going to be the lowest qualifying time right now. Emilio Martin.
Or maybe I didn't post it. The women, I thought I did. Maybe I thought I did for both.
Last year's latest or slowest qualifying time was 31:30.
All right, so that's pretty comparable.
I mean, 11 seconds. That's about what you'd expect from the extension of the burpees.
Yeah.
So,
how about we haven't at all talked about our newcomer female, Catherine Fassbender.
Yeah. That I wish we could have seen her. Jack. Yeah. Wow. That's impressive. And she's come out of HYROX too, right?
Yeah, I think so. But there was 2 girls from the second heat that ended up bumping some people, and I think they ended up like top 6, both of them.
Who was the second one?
I'll pull it up. I can't remember her name.
Well, I interviewed Catherine. I'll put it up. I don't know, tomorrow, maybe the day after. But yeah, she's been super focused on this. Her and her boyfriend do doubles in HYROX as well. I think they went to Worlds. I can't remember.
just looked them up. They did Dallas, DC, and Nice.
Yeah, they got faster each time. And so, but I think certainly it's going to make for interesting world champs this year for DEKA, because she's still brand new. Like this was only the second DEKA maybe for her, second DEKA fit.
And you
Yeah,
can
and the other girl was Bree Schrader, and she ended up 4th. She came up from second heat and ended up 4th with a 35:23.
Another one that Jack missed. Jack Bauer.
Jack does really well on these things. He gets them right pretty often, so it's okay to rib him when he finally gets one off.
I don't see any other results for this Catherine Fassbender in DEKA Fit.
No, I believe this was her first one.
And you can argue that had she been in the first heat, she would have been even faster.
I thought she told me it was her second one. I thought it was her first one too, and then she said no, it was her second.
Okay. I heard, was it with you? And she was talking about it and said, like it might have been a good thing that she was in second wave because she really got to just like run her race. I heard an interview with that, and I was like, oh, that's a good point too. I mean, arguably both ways. Either way, she won. So
either way, she's legit. Like she really pulled off a great time. Like she'll be right up there as a contender.
So she'll be sitting with a 33:15. She'll be in 4th place, right ahead of Tara.
Yeah, like that's elite company.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've also been hearing of people maybe not going to world champs. Do we think all the top men and women are going this year?
No, I think it'll be like last year.
What's that?
I think it's more likely that the HYROX people go this year because the world champs is after a major and well before another versus last year being on the same date as one.
And there's not a major on the exact same date, the exact same weekend.
It's like the Hong Kong major is 2 weeks before DEKA Fit Worlds.
Yeah.
But I think there's some people that aren't coming back possibly ever. I don't think Rich Ryan's coming back. I don't think Ryan Kent's coming back. I know that Meg's not coming back.
I've heard Kent is wavering on that Kent might be in the next Florida race. But yeah, from Rich, he said publicly on the podcast that Kent's been going up and down on it. Maybe he'll go, maybe he won't, back and forth. So maybe he will, maybe he won't. Megiddo was one of the ones who wasn't coming back, and obviously he did.
I think his money showed up.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's tough to say. I agree. I don't see Rich coming back. I don't see Meg coming back. I don't really know who else would be on that list. I think Lauren's will depend on Lauren's schedule. And other than that, I don't really know who else would be defiantly not. Chris Rogloski is probably one that's not coming back.
Probably.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone else that is like a defiant, nope, I'm out.
Not that I know of.
So it's not really that many. There's a few big names, though, a few really big names, but not a huge quantity of them.
Dave, will you drive or fly to Florida, Dave?
I will actually fly. I'm to the point where I have my tickets booked.
I'm shocked.
Well, it's just because I had to book more time off work if I drive. But I have done that drive like 4 times.
So, question: the last day to qualify for DEKA
Will you
FIT.
pick me up on the way? Will you be
On
on
the plane?
75? Oh,
On the
you're
plane?
fine.
Sure.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The last day to qualify for DEKA FIT Worlds is September 15th, right?
Yeah.
For the strong and the
So
mild.
my question is
7th.
is the DEKA FIT Australia on September 14th going to qualify them for Worlds if they wanted to go?
Yeah. On the 14th? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the last. They made it the last day of everything.
It'll be interesting. I am interested to see some of these, who goes and who doesn't, because there's so many Spanish names on, especially in some of the age groups, like just super populated with Spanish names. And I'm wondering how much of that will go, because I think the roll downs could get a little weird this year with a lot more European qualifying that may not show up or might show up. Who knows?
If anybody out of Australia qualifies, are they going to go?
We had some people flying from overseas last year.
Did it last time. Did 2022.
I mean, that makes it right. You got 3. You got the North America, Europe, and Australia. You kind of got the 3 big regions now for a world championship instead of just like the Euro America championship.
I think if somebody bothers to qualify for all 3, then they'll come because they get to race multiple times.
Right. That's what I heard, is that the Australia one is going to be a trifecta that weekend.
Like if you like, I was talking to, who was I talking to that does a lot of the Spanish races, about are they going to come over to Ocala?
I think the reason Dave wants him to come over for some of these, especially the gym ones, is just validate your times.
Yeah.
100%.
I was hoping for a couple of British guys, but the Spanish people will do too.
I read between those lines. I knew exactly what you were referencing, Dave.
What I'm curious about is, like, isn't it in Spain the standard course is 3 laps versus 2 laps here?
Yeah.
And so I wonder if Australia is going to be 2 or 3 laps.
I think Australia's done them before, and I think they've done 2.
I thought this was going to be the first one there.
I think I thought they had a road show and they did 2. I could be wrong. I could be off on that.
Know.
It might be just Miles and Strongs. Maybe I'm wrong. But I mean, Spain. The reason Spain does it is because they always do the trifectas, and it's such a quick setup from fit to mile, right? So they do three for the fit, and then just 1 lap for the mile. So it works as a good changeover. But I don't know. Whether are they quick times, are they slow times? Who knows? The equipment looks a little bit different. It's tough to say.
What's different about the equipment?
I know their tanks look a little bit different.
Yeah, I don't think they can get the torque or the D-Bex there.
They get center squat. Did they get center sleds and put some wheels on them?
I like it.
I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would be interested. I do hope some of them come because it will give it a more worldly feel. It'd be nice if they make it over. And there's some great times from over there, and some good names, right?
I mean, there's some people. I don't know if they're all going to do it, but like if Wooly did it, if Tengai did it, if
JK,
he is not going.
I know he's not going.
But he was going to, and then it's like, well, maybe not now. So no, he's not going to do it. this time.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
But Michaela and Viola often, I don't know if they're on the leaderboard this year, but they often do it.
They're both on the DEKA FIT leaderboard. So I'm wondering if they would come over.
I know Viola last year, she was tempted to do it, but then when Sweden came up, it obviously went that way. But before that, she had been saying that she was going to do it. So we'll see. I mean, she's always a gamer. She loves to race.
Yeah, and I mean, I think actually DEKA FIT I think it's even more suited to her than HYROX.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think she'd be really good at it, and especially like if she came over right now, she's got the 8th place time. So I think that turns into 9th place when these other ones come out. But like everybody on the same course, you never know. So yeah, it'd be great.
Did we want to talk about the team race from this weekend? Sorry, I'm looking for these messages that I found, but do we want to talk about the team races?
Well,
actually, let's talk about the team races because I want to give a little love to Katie because I know she had a really hard time with the burpees. But however, her and Grayson put up a 26-24 for their team race, and that's actually really great considering the record's 25-56. And I think the other ones who have been close to that were Kevin and Lauren Griffith. So like they did a really great time. So shout out to Katie and Grayson on that one. Give a little love there. Because she ran a great race.
They're a well-matched team. They work really well together. And when they do the teams, it really highlights her wheels, like just how fast she can run over the short distances.
What was their time, you said?
They were 26-24.
So they tied their time then from SoCal.
Yeah.
But that's fast. I mean,
that's moving. Yeah, that was a
you saw that one firsthand.
Race. Yeah, I got to watch front row seats to that one for the first half.
I mean, the only other ones ahead of that would have been Lauren Griffith and Kevin Gregory at Worlds. I think it was last year that they put a 26 spot with that Worlds or their qual time. Anyways, and then just ahead of them would have been Meg and Rich Ryan at 25:56. So they're right up there with one of the 3 fastest co-ed times.
Yeah, they're the fastest.
Like they're
team.
fast.
Poor Dustin trying to chase him.
Dustin and Chelsea were moving pretty damn fast their own right.
Yeah.
They're going to be in the finals.
The teams were cruising this weekend.
Let's pull up those team results. Why don't we? What do you think?
I've got them right here.
Do you know how to share your screen? No.
No.
No, because I'm looking at it on my phone. I can just hold it up there.
You're not the boss of me. DEKA FIT teams, team results, category. What category do you want?
Co-ed.
Dave.
Co-ed.
Dave.
Yeah.
Do you know who won the female elite?
The teams? Yeah. I'm familiar with them. Yes, I am familiar with them.
Why don't you give a little love? Why don't you shout them out?
A little love to the Timo Effects originals, Heather White and Bethany McChesney, who not only won but really put in a solid time for a race where Bethany had run earlier, and this was just kind of their qualifying run, and they
everybody's run earlier. They don't get credit for that.
No, but normally you're going to put in your best time if you hadn't. So when they put in a 29:50, that's really solid for them to come out with that time this year, because I think last year they did not qualify with that same time, and they set the record at Worlds. So they're looking in as fine a form as ever.
And I think there's only been like 4 or 5 female teams to go under 30.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I think to beat them it takes like a super team.
They are a super team.
They are, but I'm thinking like a Lauren Tara Jackson kind of team to give them a good run.
That would put them in first place for Worlds qualifying right now, because the overall leaderboard is 30:13 as the top time.
Who has that?
Raquel Bosch and Munsta Curio from Spain.
Yeah, see, I think Munsta will come over. She's qualified a bunch, right? I think she's one that will come over. I'll message her.
There you go. That would be exciting because I know Bethany and Heather really have their eye on the 3-peat this year. They want to get 3 in a row, and they look like they're in good form. Heather, I know, is really strong right now, like super strong, and has been running more than usual. So she's actually putting in more running volume as well, and contributing that way. And Bethany has worked on her ergs and her machines a lot. Like they've really put in, like, this is their focus. They're they're looking really, really solid for it. I think they've got a good chance to three-peat to get what they're after.
Look at mother-daughter team there.
11-year-old Emerson McChesney. We
Really brings the total age down.
It does. We didn't have it on the video, but she did the ram burpees with the 22, and they were beautiful burpees. It was fantastic. But yeah, that was I know Beth probably enjoyed that race as much as any race she's ever run. She had a blast.
I can't wait. Like 10 years from now when Lauren and Lily can do stuff together.
It's really cool. I mean, my little guy's already he loves to race with AJ. Shout out to AJ Golick, if anybody knows him. And he just embraces it.
Of
And
course.
it's just so cool to see little ones just being immersed into this community. They learn so much more than fitness, right? I mean, my little guy's only 6. Got a few ways to go, but if you ask him or AJ, they hold the toddler team record and they're undefeated.
There you go.
The non-existent toddler team division, but don't tell him.
That's another world record, Matt.
Wait,
another official world record.
Is that which was on American soil? Is it an American record? Is it an APAC record? You need to
Canadian soil. That one.
Specify the region.
It's happened on both, and if you ask them, it's 3 seconds. So good luck beating them.
Oh, okay. My kids used to love to do stuff with me, and now it is only if I give them money that I can get them to be anywhere near me. So Dave knows what that's like.
No, mine are gone. I don't even know where they are. They're out. Actually, I had my son this weekend. This week he came to visit, so that was good. Actually, I had a good week visiting with the boy. So
what is our agenda this week other than the big DEKA weekend? Because I don't think I had anything else.
What else do we have here? Hold on.
I did not see anything. The notes were not updated. I was flying blind coming into this.
All right. Well,
fantasy football draft went off with the Matt fantasy football draft. According to the Yahoo League, I drafted the second best team in our league.
It's so bizarre though that they give you a grade. It's based on what they think, right? So it's like if you did what they said, you get an A. If you didn't, you get a bad grade.
It's all about their projected totals for your fantasy football team. I had Christian McCaffrey because I was the first overall pick. So now my team all of a sudden is the second best team in the league.
I'm very happy with most of my team. I did have to step away and deal with something, and I put it on auto, and it fucked up, and I got 2 backs in a row that I didn't want. Other than that, I'm very confident with my team.
Oh, I remembered something we could have talked about, or could. Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Well, because we briefly mentioned this before another time, was the Deadly Dozen.
Oh yeah.
And you were talking about how, you've done a couple posts with it, and I've talked about it before and have spoke with the guy running it. And it's an interesting concept, and it's very easy to set up and easy to replicate. And I think that it has great potential and a whole heap of problems.
Well, you mean the judging problems, right?
Judging is, if we're going to be upset about the DEKA judging, you don't even want to see the deadlift.
They've got bear crawls as one of them, right? Or something.
That's not the problem. It's the bear crawls are fine. It's the deadlifts and the squats.
That's where you saw more problems?
Oh yeah. Monstrous.
On what? On Ian K's feed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, they were just everyone. It wasn't one person, it was everybody. They were just brutal. And it's to the point where I think it's a great idea that he has set up. He's going on 400-meter tracks, which is awesome. Opens a lot, and he seems to be getting some good traction and getting some good turnout. But the standards are non-existent.
Well, I'm wondering if, he's a fitness guy, right? He's written books and stuff. Does he own a gym? Are they getting their volunteers from gyms? Because maybe that's the problem, is they're getting more regular, I don't know, OCR athletes or something, and they're not. Because if you get people from gyms, then usually you are better at form.
Yeah.
Rather than just random running race volunteers.
Yeah, because the deadlift looks like, honestly, it's a kettlebell deadlift. And it just looks like pick it up off the ground, set it down, pick it up off the ground, set it down. There's no full extension of the back, and it's bad in the squats, not to depth, and I mean, it, like I said, it could be really, really good.
And
But
if he's not giving away massive cash and there's no, yeah, I guess if there's no cash, I'm fine with like getting these kinks worked out. Like, don't be saying these are the world records. Don't be saying here's, you know what I mean? Just like, okay, let's put these things on. And again, as I've said about DEKA, there's this tidal fucking wave called HYROX, and you could just catch the wake, right?
Yep.
Catch the ripples of, wait, HYROX is sold out. What's something else I can do? Deadly dozen, cool, right? So DEKA could be doing the same thing, and I think that's he's picking up on, and he's selling out. I think he's capping it at like 300. I don't remember exactly, and they're selling out. So put on a good event. You clearly don't have the budget of a HYROX, and I'm fine with you not having the best judging in the world. Just get the thing going, get it out there, slowly get money behind it, slowly, eventually maybe get paid judges, etc.
I think the judges just need to be, again, just educated. That's all. I think if they're just educated, it's fine. It'll work.
Because
like,
anybody can put it on. So by the way, so anybody can put it on. I messaged him and said, how does it work? Right? Like, what's the financial split? Because I'd like to put some on. All you need is a gym and a bunch of weights. Sorry, a field and a bunch of weights. You can probably get the field for free. So you don't have a venue rental fee. Just kind of an agreement with the local high school, right?
Yeah, make a donation to some team jerseys or something.
Whatever. Do you want to put some on in Canada, or you just want to see them put on in Canada?
No, I just like to see them put on. I don't. There's things about the setup that I don't like. I feel a couple of the movements are just too repetitive.
Such as?
Well, I mean, there's devil presses, which is like a burpee with a ground to overhead, and then there's a ground to overhead, and then there's a snatch. And I mean, these are essentially all the same movement, just slightly different. So I'm like,
so you would,
and then there's an overhead carry, which is kind of, it just, too many moves that are the exact same just for the sake of having a dozen moves. Like, I think he's just kind of smirking.
It reminded me, Dave, I was listening to OFX the other day on my long run, and I remember you talking about RX1 and how, like, well, I wish the scale division had these rope climbs, but not the overhead squats. And it's like, you wanted all the movements that you have the skills of in the same division, but the other ones can be harder. But the people that like have to scale down, maybe they can do overhead squats and can't do the rope climbs. So like,
Anthony, all I want is it just hard enough so I can do it and not other people.
Exactly.
All I want. Same with obstacle racing. I just want the obstacles just hard enough for me and not other people.
So that's something we used to do. Like, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago now, we'd make a workout where what's one workout that you can do and nobody else in the world can. Mm-hmm. And then giant fly in here. What's the one workout you can do? And I was always like, well, it's going to be a bunch of handstand push-ups, a 200-pound snatch, and then the Ninja Warrior warped wall, 14 foot. Let's do it. Like, I figured that'd eliminate enough people that I could do really well in that workout. But that's all you want, right? Is something race designed around your skill set.
For the RX1, you are absolutely right. For the Deadly Dozen one, I just think some of the moves are just too repetitive. It's not that
for the Deadly Dozen one, is there like a leaderboard, or is every event like a standalone event?
Can you read the event? Do you have it in front of you? Just like
like
read them out.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a 400-meter run, but before every movement. So I'm not going to read 400-meter run every time, but then you do 240-meter kettlebell carry, 60 kettlebell deadlifts, 60 meters of dumbbell lunges, 60 dumbbell snatches, 60 meters of burpee broad jump, 60 kettlebell goblet squats, 240 meters front carry, and 60 reps dumbbell push press, 120-meter bear crawl, 60 reps clean and press, 180-meter overhead carry, and 20 devil's press.
So is the first one is it farmer or just kettlebell carry?
Farmer carry.
So I'm just wondering, you guys, do you remember, what was it? It was up till season 3, so 2021 of HYROX, where it was a kettlebell carry. It didn't have to be a farmer carry. So if you could clean the kettlebells up and run with them, it was the same thing as a farmer. Yeah.
I didn't know that part. I didn't know that one. I didn't get that loophole. But yeah, this one's definitively a farmer carry. It is. But if you see what I mean there, though, they had a snatch, they had a push press, they had a clean and press, and then a devil press.
Would you put that on at Pure Impact, Amber? Would you do one of those?
Why not?
But I would think you'd sooner just do your
At the
own.
end of the day, it's just a good workout, but
Yeah. I would think you'd sooner do your own thing, though, and make it.
probably.
So
That's a lot
apparent-
of hinging for like
so-
a newbie. Like in one workout, that's a lot of
He
hinging.
literally just put himself on mute in mid-sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, he's still working on it. Still figuring it out.
still trying to get it going.
Don't talking away.
No, I'm just curious if there's a leaderboard, because I mean,
How'd that
if
work?
it's a standalone event, then I guess the movement standards are just the movement standards for that event.
Oh,
So it's kinda like
somebody
fixed,
asked about a leaderboard, and he had said that there would be like the top times, or if you beat his time, you get a special patch, and then everyone gets a certificate. So I don't know how that's going. I don't know if there's an ultimate leaderboard, if there's a per race leaderboard. Again, these are put on. He's putting these events on himself.
Yeah.
These first few, but he's starting to farm them out, and so I don't know how that's going to work. If it's going to be like DEKA and you just upload it, how it's exactly going to work. I don't even know what a fast time is. I don't even know what the relay rules are.
Oh,
Was
I
it-
would probably find out.
Relay runs like HYROX, where you run together and then you split the zones up.
so I
Yeah.
can't split up. I can't when I get tired, put the weights down.
Yeah, you can. So you can split the zones up between you, but you do the runs together just like HYROX.
And there's a relay.
No.
Like a four-person.
HYROX, I can't split up. I can't. Oh no, I'm thinking relay. Oh,
Relay. I'm talking, and he went mute again. He's
But
really
there's pairs for this, and there's relay.
yeah.
So pairs, you do all the runs together, and then split all the movements, however you choose. And then the relay, each athlete runs one time journey and one time labor before the next team member goes.
can we please
Therefore,
write down?
each athlete completes 3 times
All right.
journey and 3 times labor.
All right, so you have to repeat that, but much slower. But Dustin Needham just gave this channel's first ever super sticker. Can we all just give a hand to Dustin Needham?
Love Dustin. Added up
Never
warrior.
gotten one before. This is the first one ever. The way YouTube works, I will get 67 cents of that, but I'm still fucking thrilled. Thank you, Dustin. If anybody else watching and listening wants to support this channel and help get me to Ocala, Florida here in a couple months, please hop on. He said, thanks for the entertainment. Did you mean the shit emoji? I don't know if you meant that. So give me the difference again. I was too excited about my 99 cents and the support and the love from Dustin. Thank you so much. Tell me again tell me the difference between the doubles and the relay.
Well, first of all, I have to make a joke because this is the first time you've ever gotten that, and it's only my second time on the show. So just saying.
Okay.
Just kidding. Okay, so pairs.
I thought he was giving it because I'm back.
Probably
Oh.
want that too.
Reinforce
Probably.
that.
Probably everything is fine. Okay, so pairs race involves 2 team members. Both run they call it a 400-meter journey together.
Labors and journey.
Such a
It's labor
journey around that track. You come around the track for the first time. How was that journey? Well, let me tell you, the first 100 meters, I wasn't sure I was going to make it. Second 100 meters, I was pretty sure I was going to make it.
It
A
does
lot
sound
can
like
happen in 400
right?
meters. A lot
Third-
can happen.
Third 100 meters, I actually left. I went to the dunks down the street. I came back. Then I finished my journey, my completed 400 meters. Go ahead, Amber. Sorry. Go ahead.
So they do their 400-meter journey together, and then they can divide the labor. So the movement, I'm assuming, is that they can split the labor down between them in any way they see fit. I'm just reading word for word here. So basically, run together, divide the movement. So similar to HYROX format, basically there. And then the relay, you have to, same as HYROX, you have to do your 400-meter journey, and then you have to go in and do your labor. So each team member would go 3 times. So 3 journeys and
So that's 4 people on a relay.
Yep. Correct.
I would love to do one of these in America. I would even come up to Canada. Dave, would you go on a journey with me? Would you run a loop with me? Let's do a double.
I would run. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Does it have to be on a track? Are they all done at tracks?
Yes, that's the point. That they can be done anywhere. Anywhere there's a track. And like I said,
Well,
All right.
those are
I
mostly
can't I can't host it at a gym that has a 400 meter around the building. Is what I'm saying. Like
he hasn't said no to that. I don't think he would say no to that, but I like that it's at a gym because then you put everything else in the middle and you run the labors.
Mm-hmm. Well, Matt, if you come up to Canada, I'll host it.
Let's go.
And we can have a 4-person relay and journey all together.
We'll do the labors. Like a good labor. State Farm is there.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's got promise. They just need to tune it up a little bit.
Yeah.
We love hybrid fitness here at Hybrid Fitness Media. So, yeah, more. Keep coming.
I'm curious. I might just try this just for fun now.
See if maybe one day I'll make a hybrid fitness race.
What was the thing you were going to talk about, Anthony? You had a subject you wanted to bring.
Oh, I just had a question for Dave because I remember listening last week and Tengi was confused, like why him and his judge were headbutting and he didn't understand on some of the lunges. I heard that at the race, the judge it wasn't your front foot crossed the line when you were lunging. They would make you lunge until your back knee touched the ground across the line. So if you are an athlete or a judge and you know, like, that's not the rule, what do? You listen to your judge? Just do the extra rep?
For me, for the sake of 1 rep, I would do the extra rep on a lunge.
So there were 5 lengths of lunges and it happened at the end of every single one of them.
So
which race?
5 extra reps, which can add up to
10, 12 seconds.
Yeah, but still that could be a position, right?
Yeah.
Which we could use as a position. So you would I think you'd have two kind of strategies. One, you just do it, or 2, you don't do it and you tell the judge, I'm not doing it under protest. We can figure it out after.
Right, but that's never been established. So, like, did you
go to the rule book and read what it says? Because I thought it said foot.
I think it's just foot over the line. But like you'd heard, Tengi had obviously at this point already said his piece at the farmer carry when his thing came out. So there was like friction there.
Yeah.
But this was happening to other athletes, and the other athletes just like, okay, whatever, I'll do an extra rep, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, like, what if it was a different movement? What if, like, if you know as an athlete, wait, that's not the rule, I know I'm right, what do you do in that situation if you keep going?
Yeah, you just have to tell them I'm racing under protest. If you're no, seriously, if I'm 100% confident that I know the rule and the judge is wrong, I'm going to just say quickly, I disagree, I'll race under protest, figure it out after. And that's it.
Okay, so this is what the rule book says. The station is complete once the athlete lunges across the finish line and returns the sandbag to the marked area. So it doesn't really specify if that's front foot, back knee. That's a little bit kind of leaving it up to interpretation of the judge a little bit.
It sounds like something HYROX should clean up.
Maybe
who did this happen to, though? So you're just saying this is hypothetical. This didn't happen?
No, it happened at the Brisbane race.
To who?
To Tengai and other people that were racing there.
So that's what he got into an argument about?
Well, that was after the farmer carry thing. I guess there'd been friction. Like, I think it was just cultural misunderstanding between them for a lot of the race because it was the same judge back and forth.
Interesting.
So yeah, that is something that should have been sorted out ages ago. Foot, knee. What does lunge across the line mean?
And is it?
I've always understood it as
is it lunge across?
Oh wait. I have some answers, guys, to some very important HYROX questions.
So is it lunge across, like whole foot across the line, or if you just step on the line, it's good because then part of your foot's across? Now, like, I didn't realize it was that wording in the rule book, because if it's that, then like lunge across could be my whole body has to be across in a lunge, which means I need to go until my back foot's across, or
exactly
is it just part of my front foot?
Yeah, it could be anything from the toe of your front foot to your entire back leg.
Yep.
Yeah.
And those rules need cleaned up. There's a few HYROX rules like that need a little cleaning up.
All right. Well, speaking of HYROX rules, I had several questions out to Mo, and I got answers. And I've been meaning to do a post, and I didn't, and now I'm mad that I haven't. I will still do one. Are you ready for important sport questions?
Yeah.
Answer directly from Mo, who is Mintra is technically head of sport. He is currently listed as co-founder and CMO, but he's the one who answers questions when I send questions to him and Mintra. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Number one is the Elite 15 qualifying times set up to auto-populate every 365 days or just when it's closest to majors. So, for example, right now, Michaela is listed as qualifying, yet her major will come off September 9th, which is prior to October's major. So I didn't know if like the thing is literally set up to like auto-populate.
Before
He just
before you get to his answer, Joanna is on the leaderboard now, but Lauren Griffith's time from Brisbane is not.
Brisbane. It says, yes, we will adapt that to the cutoff days, meaning in Michaela's case, that race will not count for Amsterdam. So I guess that's saying they're going to manually do it because it doesn't sound like it's auto-populating.
I hope you asked him this question. Is the cutoff day for the past races the day of the major going to take place, or the 2 weeks before cutoff day?
I did not ask that. That would have been a great follow-up to one of the two questions where I kind of addressed that. Question number 2, when will you announce payout breakdowns for majors? I believe the total was given on Rock's Life podcast, but not actual amounts. The answer, next week. He responded on August 23rd, so that's this week. Can someone qualify 1 week prior to a major? Can a Toronto time qualify you for Amsterdam, which is 1 week later? No,
shouldn't be.
There are CO days, cutoff days, which will be, this one says 14 to 20 days prior to a major. I don't know when it would
probably
be.
I think there's one of the majors right now that has 3 weeks before there's another race. So if there's not a race within those 2 weekends, that's probably the cutoff day is just between there.
Yeah, because otherwise, man, you could be a week before the race and get knocked out.
Yeah.
Is Young Stars going to be in the 24-25 season? Yes, we will continue exploring that product, but slowly. Because we saw it launched in the UK and we haven't seen one yet for the new season. And we did see one, I think there's about to be one in Australia, but there's been none over here. And there was another question I asked that I can't say out loud, but or that it's not worth going into. But that's actually a really good question well, it's got to be, I would guess it would be, Anthony, since it's not 2 weeks before, it doesn't matter. Like, as long as it's 365 days before.
No. What I'm saying is, for example, Hong Kong, Rylan has a date or a time from last year of 11/11. Hong Kong's 11/23, so it's 12 days, right? So if the cutoff day for the time expiration is when they have to announce, so 2 weeks before, he's in. He'll have 2 times by then. If it's the day of the race, if it's Hong Kong, he'll only have 1 time.
I know exactly what you're asking. I think it needs to be the cutoff day.
I think it should be the cutoff day as well, but that's a good question because he doesn't have an opportunity to run 2 races this year. I've only seen him say like he'll go to Amsterdam, so that would be only 1 race.
So you're saying cutoff to cutoff, not?
Yeah, is the day that they send out the invites the cutoff day, or is it the actual day of the race? Is that the 365, or is the cutoff day 365?
Right. Why don't you ask that question, since I just asked 5 questions? Why don't you ask one? Does he get back to you quickly?
I've never asked. I don't know.
I'll ask, but I think it's got to be the cutoff day. That's the only one that makes sense. And I think the cutoff day is way too late anyway. I think that only 2 weeks, like for
Young Stars is Singapore, not Australia. Thank you for correcting me. And Rumor is one in Hong Kong. Thank you, Mike Fitzgibbon, who must be checking in from either Australia or England because he's spelling Rumor that way. I mean, apparently they're not using those sticks anymore, by the way. In UK, they use some sticks for the weights, and now they're using something else. Somebody open up the web real quick. Go to Young Stars Singapore. Amber, you've been Johnny on the spot. Why don't you do it?
Were they using the sticks
Young
for WC?
Stars Singapore.
The sticks. It was like a sponsor.
Yeah.
Brit
Remember
sticks.
for WC had the sticks that they use for weights? Those like long socks.
Children 8 to 15.
Oh, this one says, yeah. HYROX Young Stars Challenge is structured around 6, ages 8 to 11, and 8, ages 12 to 15, engineered workouts, executed in groups and led by a coach.
You haven't announced the workouts. I'm looking
at
the
Young Stars event number 3, slalom run.
Slalom.
where they weave around sticks?
No.
Okay. That's what it says, side to side around the poles. They got burpee, broad jump, Frogger jumps, rowing, farmer's carry, sled pull, and sled push. Those are the stations.
And there's a shuttle run and a ski erg.
Yeah, it starts with shuttle run and ski erg, and then
So now look at what last year's was, and you'll know what I was talking about.
I don't know how to check last year's.
Type in UK Young Stars.
UK.
The tension is palpable.
I know. I know.
Look, I really like these Young Stars things. I hope it continues for a couple more
I like
years.
anything that gets the kids out there going.
Yeah.
Doesn't come
Are
up.
you talking about the Stickits?
Stickits.
Stixits?
What is the stickets?
Mine's just coming up.
In
with
short,
numbers.
these are weighted bags to carry or pull drag, replace the sled work.
Okay, so what are they doing this year instead of that? That's what I was asking.
They just have ages 12 and up use actual sleds. That's what it says on their website, at least for Young Stars. The sleds are for 12 to 13-year-old boys. It's a 50-kilo sled, so 110 pounds. So an empty sled for the
So
sled pull.
they've lost the Stickit sponsor.
That's what it looks like.
too bad.
Stix.
This is pretty cool. They actually have age groups for the young stars.
Calendar on.
Except if they don't really keep it up, it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like they launched it and then took it away. It seems like it's a much harder product for these companies because like Tough Mudder had the same thing. They've launched a kids race, then they took it away, then it was only in England, and it's not available at some locations. It's like this weird thing that they have a hard time with. They get really excited about a product and then are like, I don't know if we can actually execute this thing.
I think it's just like scaling down for athletes or for kids is a lot harder because there's such a big difference in ability when they're that young.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, a 14-year-old boy and a 15-year-old boy can be exceptionally different.
Oh yeah.
Well, and they have the race basically from 8 to 60 or 8 to 15-year-olds. So,
And it's like, where are you going to do it? They're already super tight on space, and it's like, okay, let's stick it in the what do you call it?
Rock zone.
area, rock zone.
Oh, here's a question. How do we think Nick Bear will do in HYROX Dallas from AM, if that is your real name?
I don't know a ton about Nick Bear, I'll be honest.
Big influencer, a lot of followers.
Yeah. I know that. Like I know who he is, but I don't really know a lot about him. So we'll put him in there on a 63, knowing absolutely nothing.
I'm creeping him right now on Instagram.
Yeah, I just pulled him up. He's the BPN supplements guy. I think he's ran pretty fast before, and like, I don't know, maybe, yeah, he's got a 2:39 marathon.
That's quick.
He's not weak, and he's actually training for it. I put him, 62. Let's call him Ricky Garrard. He'll do a 62.
Yeah, I say there you go. I say he doesn't beat Ricky.
He doesn't beat Ricky. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm sure we'll talk more about it as we get closer to that race. Todd Sholos, big fan of the show. Thanks, Todd. Also, coffee cup buyer, Patreon supporter, said he just PR'd his 2K ski at 6:28.
That's pretty quick.
Sorry,
His
row.
Okay.
Sorry, row. Come on, Todd. Get your facts right.
10K. What's his 10K row?
What's your 10K row, Anthony?
38:20.
What's your
Something like
marathon row?
My marathon row?
Yeah.
I've done a half marathon row.
Amber, what's the longest time you've ever spent on a rowing machine?
Not that long. No, I do more like interval trainings for teams. I don't need to be on there very long, so
You've never done a 100-minute row?
100 minutes.
No. Usually, like I'll do like a 30-minute row, but that's about it. I don't like to be on there longer than that. I do get my volume in intervals. I'll be honest. Sitting on a row for that long just not my jam.
I
All
do
right.
have my half marathon row. 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 57 seconds.
Is it on your Strava?
It's on my logging app.
All right, we're going to wrap it up there, ladies and gentlemen. We'll definitely talk about Nick Bear closer to the time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a great week.
Take care.
Hi, everyone.